In the 2006 Disney movie Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, screen representation is finally given to those upper middle class teenagers who compulsively lie in order to sound interesting. I mean, who among us hasn't embellished little things like how many parents we have or what sort of life-threatening jungle parasites we're carrying? I mean, those free edible arrangements aren't going to send themselves to me. And our main character, Lola, gets this. Performed expertly by Lindsay Lohan at the height of her career, I found it impossible not to root for this spunky teen character, brimming with all of the self-confidence of a sociopath defending themselves in court. She stands out particularly well in a film laced with off-putting special effects and a meandering slice-of-life storyline that screams this probably worked better as a novel for 8th graders. And yet, I can't help but love the iconic fashion, memorable musical numbers, and bold single-color eyeshadow looks that will have everyone noticing your crepey eyelids. Stay tuned, mama, because this adult drama queen is bringing you another installment of Clip Breakdown. Hello television viewers, my name is Nick. Thank you so much for joining me once again on my channel for another installment of Clip Breakdown. This is the playlist where we dive into our favorite movies, TV movies, YouTuber content, and other stuff on the net. And we samurai sort it into little slices so that we can look at them individually. I hang them up on a clothesline and we say, oh, isn't that an interesting choice? Anyway, today we've got a very iconic movie that a lot of you have asked to look at. Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. I hadn't seen this one whatsoever. I think at the end I remembered catching a little bit of this on cable at one point, but never saw it from the beginning. We have a lot to look at. But before we get into it, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see even more clip breakdowns on Disney movies like this. But most importantly, if you're new to my channel, I would love to have you click that subscribe button right down here. That way you never miss new videos from me. I upload 2 new ones every week, so turning on the bell is a good idea if you want to be the first to know when I've samurai sorted something. I would love to make it to 200,000 subscribers this year. 200K! So if you're watching my channel, then it would mean so much to me. Also, I've got merch and a Patreon where you could access bonus content and exclusive watch parties and lots of other cool stuff. Let's get into it. This is like our 89th Disney movie that begins or takes place entirely in New York. Also, a lot of the movies we've been looking at lately have the screenwriter for this one in common, Gail Parent. She also worked on Cadet Kelly. Either way, most of this movie was actually shot in Canada. You know how it goes. And it opens with a fantasy sequence that tells us about our main character and her inner workings.
Oh, Mommy, you forgot this!
I worry so about you living alone.
It's adorable of you to be so concerned, but I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself, dear.
You already said you were perfectly capable of faking a British accent, but here we are on set and you're giving us Audrey Hepburn with a head injury. She said, I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself, dear. Lindsay, sweetie, you didn't want to work on this at all in the 8 years since The Parent Trap, because that British accent was a hot mess too. Also, I don't think that there's anything more early thousands than that multicolor monogram Louis Vuitton Speedy bag. That was all the rage with wealthy teenagers at the time. It was very hard for most young women to keep that white leather clean in a high school environment. Better pack a magic eraser in there, Jacqueline.
Yes, I'm free! I can live in New York on my own! I can do whatever I want! Yay!
Ew, why did that look like one of my Sims characters after I get them to drink a little bit of paint thinner? I think bad special effects are always even funnier with the actor's dialogue recorded over it. Cause you'll see like a 2-dimensional stick puppet like miles away in the sky, and then you hear the actor in a recording studio and being like, yippee, I'm flying. Which just makes it sound more obviously fake.
Yes, I'm free!
Laura Croft from Tomb Raider after finalizing her divorce. Of course, that's all just in our main character's mind. Let's dive into the harsh reality of it all.
By Broadway.
Mary, please, don't be such a drama queen.
Lola! My name from this day forward is Lola. You know, I've known since I was 5 years old that my true name is Lola.
That's so crazy. I knew since I was 5 years old that my true name is Glorm Glom. Hi everybody, I'm Glorm Glom. You guys, I just noticed this particular hole in my Monstera leaf. Do you see that? It's like a freestanding hole. Lola, as she likes to be called, is moving from her home in New York City to New Jersey.
Goodbye, New York. Goodbye any chance of becoming a famous actress.
You think no famous actors came from New Jersey. Tell that to the toxic East River dumping site that Kevin Spacey was spawned from as a baby. Because she's now going to be in a small town, she feels like she'll never be a famous actress.
The only person I can turn to is Stu Wolf, the greatest poet since Shakespeare and the lead singer of Sid Arthur. He'd see me through my dark suburban days.
A lot of teenagers just use marijuana for that, but sure, you go off. Do whatever you feel right with. Also, did Lola's family have to move because they didn't have enough room for that giant poster in their Manhattan apartment? P.S. I watched really hard to figure out what parts of this movie were actually shot in Manhattan, and from what I can tell, it was only those exteriors of the car driving through Times Square with the couch tied on and through other, New York landmarks, and they just had stand-ins in the car. Lindsay Lohan, she never had to leave Canada to shoot this movie. But more so than those TV movies, this one had like a $13 million budget, so it's more seamless. Like a Disney Channel movie never would have been able to shoot those exteriors with a B unit. You would have just got like those standardized shots that were stock footage. But anyway, now the rest of this is all supposed to be Delwood, New Jersey for the most part, but it's all shot in Canada. Like I said, throughout the movie, I really love kind of Lola's confidence throughout all of this when it comes to making new friends and taking on, life's challenges. Even though she doesn't want to move to New Jersey, she's not being like pestilent about it. She's like, oh, I'm gonna make it through this somehow. Anyway, right when she gets to school, she instantly connects with this other shy girl named Ella because they both have this love for Sid Arthur, the band. Even though Ella likes a different member of the band than Nancy does. Why did I call her Nancy?
This is where he lives. Oh, and this is the dress that I'm gonna wear when we get married.
You want your wedding dress to be blown up to reveal your underwear? Campy, kinky, dramatic, we stan. Also, I already noticed that this movie has a lot of product placement, but how come even in her deepest journal fantasies, Stu is promoting the Rockin' Apple Store by his home? That's some deep product placement. They're like, she's even gonna write about the Apple Store. Also, what I really loved about this scene, and it's really a sign of its high budget, is how they use Foley artistry to sweeten all of the action on screen. That's basically like when they re-record sound effects. It's done a lot in animation where they, in a studio, will record sound effects of objects moving to add realism to the scene, but they do it a lot for live action movies as well to sweeten things that you see. They do it a lot for all of the pages being turned on this book. Notice how none of these things would really sound this pronounced in real life. And also it would interfere with the dialogue they're recording.
I've downloaded and this is the dress.
And on page 112, you'll find the crinkle index, which is printed on the reverse side of the flippy leaflet on the chip bag insert. One moment, let me just turn the page. That's how much they went off with the book sound effects in this scene. I like it because it gives like an ASMR experience. I also love it when they do it with like someone leans in and you'll hear leather go. I think that's so satisfying. We talked about it last week with people doing that sound effect of high heels in their music videos. I think that's a little lame, but hey, do you, man. I don't know if you guys know, but this movie also contains the one and only Disney movie performance from Megan Fox. This is probably one of her earliest film roles. I know she had done that Olsen twin movie Holiday in the Sun before because we watched that in a viewing party on my Patreon. Join if you want to see other things like that. But in this one, she plays Carla Bergoli or something like that. No, not that last name. Carla something Italian.
Aren't you the girl who just moved into the Swenska house?
Well, I'm Lola Stepp. I didn't know our home had a name.
Is that supposed to be that famous New York sense of humor?
No, it's supposed to be my famous New York Italian style pizza. How many toppings you want? You can tell these girls are basic because they each begged their parents for the same Return to Tiffany's heart necklace. Okay, but did you really think through how it's like chain chokers and leather jackets? Way to dress like 3 worn out motorcycle girlfriends on day 6 of a very long bike week. Meanwhile, Lola's over here with her headscarf giving us the full Rhoda. Such vintage influences to age our 16-year-old actresses. You can tell from here that Lola really wants to take drastic steps to prevent her real life from leaking through. She wants to promote this image of her being a glamorous young woman to all of her new schoolmates. So she doesn't let the teacher introduce her as Mary.
I like that name, Lola. This is Lola.
Ma'am, I don't know how you expect to teach us anything when that perm is curled tight enough to be smoothing out your cerebral cortex. She has that full head of curls the whole movie, and I'm always like, okay. I think it's actually just made to differentiate her from the mom character and Ella's mom character, who are all 3 very great actresses, but they're a little similar. They're all like blonde, kind of older looking women with an interesting voice pattern. So anyway, I think they had to give the moms all pretty distinct looks, in the character for the teacher as well, in order to help us all differentiate them instead of, casting a diverse group of people. Like, this is a very white cast. In fact, there are no people of color in any lead roles, and very few of them in any of the background as well. So, I really love how much Lola stands up for herself to Carla trying to be the queen bee.
I've earned the center seat. And besides, if you want to fit in, you probably shouldn't draw so much attention to yourself.
In case you haven't noticed, I like the attention.
Yeah, so does that extra on the right who's like, pardon my reach, I just need to be in this shot. Like, damn girl, the line is moving. Don't lose your nose ring in the potato salad over it. Carla in this conversation is like, if you ditch Ella, you might be able to hang with the cool girls. And Lola serves so hard, she's like, oh, that's my life's dream. Boom, and dips. Then she goes outside and eats with Ella, where she meets a new friend.
Lola, Sam.
Hi.
Sam is super sweet, but why do they have him dressed like he's in a high school production of Bye Bye Birdie? I think they sell this particular combo of bootcut jeans, Fruit of the Loom t-shirt, and extra hold hair gel in the undateable gentleman section of your local Walmart supercenter. I get that it's probably supposed to look like James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause, but I think some of these old Hollywood references are skewing just a little too old for the audience. I never would have understood that as a child when this came out. In 2006, I was 15 years old. I couldn't watch this movie at the time because I felt insulted because I was a teenage drama queen in the theater. So I was like, I can't, I have rehearsal. I don't have time to watch Lindsay Lohan pretend to be an actor. I'm living that life. The absolute gall. But anyway, Sam is the crush throughout this movie, and I really like him. He's super sweet. And that guy, that actor, he as a child was the voice actor for Hogarth in The Iron Giant. You are who you choose to be. Ella lives in the rich area of Delwood, and her mom comes off as really hostile towards Lola.
Wow, this is just like eating in a diner. Thank you.
Well, surely you have popovers at home. I just pop them in the microwave.
All right, well, don't pop a blood vessel over at Momzilla. I've never had a popover before. Can I still pop over to your white house, or do I need to pop some puff pastry up my ass for you to accept me? So rude, this mom. And it's like, you're talking to your child's friend, and she's also a child.
My mother doesn't approve of microwaves. She has very strong opinions.
Oh, I've never heard of anyone taking a stance on an appliance before.
Do you consider the electric chair an appliance? Because I just changed my stance on that after meeting you, lady. If she talked about my mom like that to me, I would chase her down that hallway so fast, just smearing Danish on the walls like a banshee. Pop into this, mother! This interaction causes a little bit of a fight between Ella and Carla because Ella is like, my mom just thinks your family's a little strange, I'm sorry. Which, like, rude, don't tell her that. There's no way that was ever gonna be okay.
My mom saw your mother in the supermarket wearing dirty overalls with chopsticks in her hair. It's not important.
Not important? She's the woman who gave me life, whose milk fed my fragile body.
Ooh, is she still producing breast milk by chance? Because I have this recipe for a homemade face cream that I want to try for my Etsy store. Don't worry, we'll get her on antibiotics first so it's not gross. Ella's mom seems like not very nice.
My parents are square. Neither of them is too happy about the fact that your mother has 3 children and no husband.
Is this colonial New Jersey? What the f? You better cover those shoulders, ladies, before Jedediah sees you from the field and thinketh ye to be improper. Ella's mom is in the house like, naughty girls must be punished by being turned into popovers. I'll pop you into the microwave and make you into a popover. Pop, 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 pop. This is an inciting incident for the movie where Ella, in an attempt to explain her mother's single motherdom, she tells a tall tale about her dad being dead.
My father mounted his really cool motorcycle to buy the mother of his child and future children her favorite flowers. Suddenly, they found him strewn across Ninth Avenue.
What's the nicest way to tell a young person that their imagination makes me sick? I find these fantasy sequences to be garish, loud, and exceptionally hard to watch. Like Angela Anaconda meets Roseanne singing the national anthem. So this obviously wins tons of sympathy from Ella, and Lola goes home and is like, well, totally nailed that by doing what? Making up huge lies that I can never sustain. But it does endear us a little bit to know that she's doing it in a feeling of defensiveness for her mother, even though it's like a little misplaced.
What? Nothing. I like the chopsticks in your hair.
Yeah, a lot of people liked that back in 2004, but it's cultural appropriation. Like, mama, this is not the way to tell the world that you love orange chicken. The only time someone would need to store eating utensils in their hair like that is at a nudist all-you-can-eat buffet, and they weirdly serve a lot of finger foods at those. Gotta say, there are some real bangers on this soundtrack. My unsweet 16, unsweet 16, homecoming queen, like you're posing in a magazine. Unsweet 16. That song is by Wakefield. It's called Unsweet 16. It used to play all the time on the N after like episodes of Degrassi. Me and my sisters lived for it, and it's a classic. But you're acting like a child, neurotic. If you listened to Wakefield and you're watching this video, you need to smash that like button. You need to click that subscribe button. You need to dip your feet in honey and walk through a field of bees. These are the requirements of liking Wakefield. Look at this leaf again, I love it. This is where I can really sink my teeth into the movie because we're talking about what? Musical theater. This drama club is putting on a show of Eliza Doolittle. What's that show? My Fair Lady. Is that what it is? Eliza Doolittle, Pygmalion, which is, I guess, like, I don't know. Let's just watch. I just gave up.
So I had this really long talk with Miss Bagola yesterday about the drama club's production of Pygmalion. Told her that I think it's really rigid to stick to the original.
Not stick to the original? The exquisite words of Mr. George Bernard Shaw?
That's how I reacted when Michael Bublé changed the pronouns to Santa Baby.
Santa buddy, fill my stocking with Canucks tips for kicks.
No, you will not straight wash Christmas. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. You do not cover that song if you're not willing to fully admit that you would Santa for a new convertible. That's Christmas, mama. That's Christmas tradition. That's Santa. It's going down today. This is a Sunday morning. It's not even 8 a.m. right now, and this is how I act. Been an angel all year. Santa buddy, put your pinky up my I can't talk anymore. This is the point where I'm like, why is this movie doing this? Like, basically, Lola overhears Carla saying that, oh, the part is already mine. So she's all disappointed and she runs up to the drama teacher and is like, I'd love a chance to be to audition even though you've already cast it. And the drama teacher's like, oh no, the auditions are next week. So then what? Like, that could have been cut. That was from the book, I'm sure, but like, it could have been cut. Just save my time. Anyway, here we go at the auditions with that curly-haired teacher again. By the way, I recognize this woman from the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix.
I haven't rehearsed a song or anything. I'm simply not prepared.
You can just wing it.
But acting is my chosen career. I mean, I intend to be in theater.
Well, if you want to work in theater, you need two things to survive: confidence and probably a day job working at a restaurant. So get on that stage and show us some confidence. Also, this movie goes in with the Hitchcockian split focus, which I think is a fun way to like play up the drama of these situations, the melodrama. That's basically how you see how Lindsay Lohan is in focus, but then also Megan Fox is in clear focus. There's an apparatus that goes on the camera where you can set half the frame to a different focus than the other half. So you can have the person in your foreground clear as well as the person in the background clear. So it shows both of the reactions at the same time. They do it several times throughout the movie, I think 3 times in total. And you can do it digitally by shooting the scene twice and just doing a split screen. But you can tell they did this with the real apparatus because you can see the blurry line in between where the two focuses are blending. Love it. I love it.
I guess I'll try, of course.
Perhaps you could try now. You could go first.
What the hell, Miss Bagoli? Just because you came ready to do a group number in Thoroughly Modern Millie doesn't mean the rest of us are ready to Broadway across America with you. It's first period. But Lola, being the spunky, confident girl she is, she's like, all right, if I gotta get on stage and sing to nail this role, she like has to have the role of Eliza. And I feel for her. I'm like, this role is made for her, because not only are they doing this updated, the teacher has added contemporary songs. So Lola's like, this is a singing role. I'm gonna nail this with my Sid Arthur song. And I mean, you can think what you want about Lindsay Lohan's vocals as like a real life singer. Also, do you say Lindsay Lohan or Lohan? But anyway, I'm sure whatever I'm saying is wrong. Anyway, her voice really lends itself to this song.
Don't move on. Don't move on.
Don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move on. Not me wanting to play this made-up song at my wedding. I think it's so powerful when a song repeats like one desperate phrase over and over again, and it's filled with such longing. It has the same energy as when I used to get blackout drunk and beg the people I was casually dating to say they loved me. If that was depressing, pretend I said it with a clown wig on. Anyway, it doesn't matter, because now I love myself ever since I bought that cotton candy machine. So obviously there's a lot of competition between Carla and Lola, and they're racing to see who got the part. Spoiler alert, it's good news.
Actually, my part, the one of Mrs. Higgins, is much more interesting than Elijah's in many ways, and it's the one that I wanted.
Don't lie to me like I'm your child psychologist, Carla. That frosted eyeshadow does not disguise the jealousy in your eyes. Ooh, sounds like a country song. Yes, I am releasing a country album. It's called Dream Lights on the Now available on iTunes. Carla is secretly mad that Lola got her part.
I'll show you what it's like to be in my school. Is that a threat? Absolutely.
Girls, please, the real threat is global warming. So it's time to stop fighting and start composting our septic waste to use as fertilizer. Follow me to the back of the school where I've got a plastic bucket I need each of you to fill up. So anyway, the whole squad is pumped because she got the lead role, mama. Now we move on to the main kind of part of the story, which is her love for Sid Arthur, and then she finds out that they're breaking up. So as a drama queen, obviously this news comes as a real shock to her, and she takes it devastatingly.
I heard.
Thanks for being here at a time like this.
Ooh, no amount of sadness justifies those funeral procession circus pants. Lola said, "Thank you for coming, and welcome to the Black Parade."
As these balloons go to the heavens, so do the stars of our Sid Arthur mix among the stars of our universe. Symbolically, of course.
That was funny. I love it. At this point in the movie, this is where I realized, oh yeah, this must have been a young adult novel, because there's so many random scenes and settings that don't seem to really perfectly connect, and I can just imagine it all being like different chapters of a book explaining her school year. But because it's a movie, they kind of have to condense all of the events, so you don't really know how long it's taking over. They could have maybe done something with this movie where they split it up by season, so it's like, oh, it's the Halloween bash, or now it's the Christmas vacation. That way I know if this is like over a full year of growth or just a couple weeks. Anyway, here's them at the arcade playing this like knockoff version of Dance Dance Revolution.
There's gonna be an awesome party afterwards at Stu's Loft for all of Sid Arthur's closest friends. And guess who already has an invitation?
It just so happens that Ella and I do.
Oh, really?
I would be the kid off to the side wearing leg warmers and patiently waiting for my turn. Like, they're not even in expert mode, guys. I'm about to murder this Black Eyed Peas song. I was really into Dance Dance Revolution as a child. We had the home version with those mats that you could set up for Xbox. And actually, I guess it was like 7th and 8th grade, I used that to really lose like 30 pounds right around puberty because it was just like, you know, gay enough for me to get into. You could dance to pop songs, and I got better and better at it. So I would do that for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half every night. And I remember when Dance Dance Revolution was becoming a thing, a lot of kids suddenly found themselves losing weight on it. And I was like, I can stomp on this video game tarp in the dark basement and no one's gonna bother me. So shout out to DDR for helping me become gay. And now I'm gay and I'll dance anywhere. Out in the bright open sunlight, I'll say, here's a step ball change for you, Mr. Postman. And he says, oh my God, that's how I keep getting stun gunned. It takes a predetermined amount of time for Lola to go through this mourning phase with Sid Arthur. She wants to go to their farewell concert. That's the whole thing of her life right now.
Just not very hungry. In too much pain.
I'm in pain too. My tooth's coming out.
Listen, sweetheart, I don't know why your character was included in this film either, but it doesn't mean you can just say whatever. The twins only get 2 lines total in this movie, and they're always completely inconsequential. Here's what the other thing that they say.
Welcome to Deadwood.
Is she allowed to say that?
I don't know, sweetie, but I need you and your sister to be back haunting that hallway at the Overlook Hotel in 90 minutes. So can we wrap them out? Lola and that boy have a few more moments of bonding. He's like into car fixing. Love that. I love a guy who's greasy under the fingernails. But she's also still trying her best to get concert tickets to go see Sid Arthur with Ella.
I'm on a hunger strike, like Gandhi. Not one morsel will pass my lips until you say I can go see Sid Arthur.
Girl, if you don't unglue that Claire's earring from your forehead. 16 years later, and pretty much everything about this would be considered problematic by today's standard. From Gandhi's highly criticized personal life, right down to that mbop bindi. Despite all of her dramatic antics, Mom is trying really hard to give the daughter what she wants. So she calls her dad and is like, your daughter really wants to see Sid Arthur. Can you take her since you're in the city? And Lindsay's character is like, no, it's not good enough. I'll be too embarrassed if my dad takes me. It's like, girl, what do you really think Sid Arthur's gonna notice you at this concert? You're so dumb. But I mean, wait till you see what happens. What do I know? Anyway, she also gets grounded because the mom discovers pizza under the bed, so her hunger strike was a sham. This has nothing to do with anything. Like, the grounding doesn't even matter. I thought the grounding was gonna be like, so you can't leave to go to the party or whatever, but never really comes up. So that's another example of them adding in a ton of details from the book that I guess color the story, but don't play in a lot to the plot line. So I feel like it's like an untied thread. It feels like a Chekhov's gun, Chekhov's grounding. At school, Carla shows the tickets she has to the concert and the party, and Lola's like, yeah, I just didn't want to come here and flaunt them to everybody, so I have that too.
I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of photographers there. We can even get our pictures taken together.
That's the deal. Oh, and you can be in the shot too, Ella.
Absolutely, I'll be there.
Know who else can be in the shot? That Minute Maid vending machine that we've seen behind pretty much every character at this school. I'm getting real thirsty for apple juice all of a sudden. Ooh. All natural. Then we should go to the Rockin' Apple store. Also, come through, Ella. I love that added confidence that doubling up on your birth control is giving you. Lola's like, what? In New York City, everyone does a little DIY hormone therapy. Don't try that at home. Also, this is a quick moment of Allison Pill appreciation, the character who plays Ella. Other people might recognize her from movies such as Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, but she's in so many other things. The Newsroom, American Horror Story. She's gorgeous. I love her. So when they get to the ticket kiosk, they realize Sid Arthur is sold out. And I love all of the other acts that they have on this board. It's very telling of the times. Gypsy was playing The Lion King, then The Strokes, Norah Jones, Coldplay, Sum 41, No Doubt. I love Sum 41. Kings of Leon. There's a lot going on that takes 10 minutes. Like, for instance, Allison freaks out. She can't lie to her parents about going to New York City because that's their original plan. And she's like, we have to ask for permission. So they're like, okay. This is another thing that takes a lot of time, is like, Lola will refuse to do something. She'll be like, listen, it's fine. We're gonna lie to our parents and say that we're sleeping over each other's houses. And that'll be the plan for like 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. So they're like, fine, we'll ask for permission. And I'm like, all right, now like conflicts are just making themselves happen because of a teenage emotion. I guess it's fine. I suppose I'm just used to stories that are a little more focused in getting us from one conflict to another. And I think maybe this movie could have benefited from that. Not that it's like bad the way it is, but I found myself a little bored at certain moments, just gonna say. Anyway, the girls ask Ella's parents if they can ride into the city with them when they go on a long weekend to New York, and that way they'll have a chaperone business.
And is that how you feel, sweetie, that you must see this Sid Arthur?
It's their last performance.
Why didn't you just ask, Pumpkin?
I didn't know I could.
Does anyone else feel like this story is leading us in slow circles, like an old horse who needs to be moved every week or their joints will calcify? I'm like, just shoot me in the head with one of those bolt machines. It's more humane. Why, yes, I am a horse doctor, but please note that during my appointments, I only speak like a horse. That's a horse sound. Lola keeps daydreaming. She's always doing that.
I wanna be loved by you alone. I wanna be.
Why do I keep thinking that Cardboard Drummer is Cardi B? Cardboard B. Again, these dream sequences send me to another dimension. They should all like come with an aspirator. Lola has nothing to wear for this concert, so she wants to bring her dress that Eliza wears in the show to New York with her. So she asked that boy that she really likes, whose name I wish I could remember during this breakdown, but I just can't, so sorry. He's gonna go into the drama room while they're at rehearsal and sneak it.
How can I concentrate when Sam is risking his life for me? And when in 10 hours time, I'll be standing right in front of Stu Wolf.
Well, it's weird because you're doing all the right steps, just the exact opposite direction. So did someone accidentally tell Lola to put her thing down, flip it and reverse it? Common acting mistake. This is a really long scene. This is a really long scene that we're about to see. The kids are stressing out Miss Begoli, which I guess is important for me to know for some reason.
Opening night is in 1 week. I would think that we could just have one decent rehearsal by now.
Oopsies, we just caused the teacher's COPD to advance. You're not doing high school theater if you don't cause the adult director to have a childish breakdown by tech week. It's the best part. So anyway, the teacher's like, I'm gonna go to my office just to gather my thoughts. So she's never clear. She's like, I'm gonna go get something that's locked in my office. She never says what it is. So already I was like, does she have a pill addiction? But that never plays into it. Lola follows her to the room and is like making sure she doesn't see that her friend is in there. And so there's this whole shenanigans where they're trying to hide him behind the rack, but it looks like he doesn't have the dress. And the teacher's just like, oh, I don't know what. She's talking and ad-libbing, and it's a very disorganized scene. I could have done with a lot more structure to this. And it doesn't look like he has the dress in his hands when he leaves, but then after that.
I was just about to grab the dress when Miss Begoli came in.
Thanks for trying.
Trying? Take a look under the hood.
I shoved it right next to the engine because I know how much you love to huff gasoline and go off into your little flip book fantasy lands. So the day of the concert finally comes and the girls catch their train to New York where they're gonna meet Ella's parents. They plan to stay in her hotel with them that night. The parents also don't know that the girls don't have tickets, so they're like already winging it a little bit. That's some really aggressive backcombing for a concert. This whole train bathroom montage is the most stressful part of the movie for me. Oh, thanks, Ella. I was really hoping my Cody Airspun would become a petri dish for your respiratory flora. If you can't learn to control your throat better, we're gonna have a hell of a time in New York City. You better not be gagging every time we walk past some fresh piss. Over the next 5 minutes of the movie, the girls try to buy tickets from a scalper, but they realize they left the money on the train. Oh, I hate that so much. So then they try to sneak in, but it doesn't work out. It's this whole long drawn out thing. But then they're left just like basically not being able to go to the concert. So they try to go to the party instead.
You're just gonna give up? What if everyone gave up, Ella? We'd never get to see the work of Renee Zellweger or Christina Aguilera.
Do you think Dina Lohan gave up when the director told her and Lindsay's siblings to get out of this shot? No, they got even closer to the camera and became even more distracting. That's how you become one of the least liked stage moms in Hollywood. I know this was supposed to be just a cameo, but I clocked it right away. I was like, oh, the Lohan family is chasing you. Ella realizes that there's a man and a dog following them, so she gets all freaked out, but Lola right away is like, ugh, I know what's going on, let me handle this. Remember, Ella thinks that her dad is dead.
Dad, what are you doing here?
Your mom called, asked me to keep an eye on you. Where are you going?
To a party. If you show up, then Stu Wolf will never think I'm cool. Can't you just wait outside or something?
Right outside. If I see something even slightly wrong, I'm coming in.
Oh, you got x-ray vision now, Super Dad? No offense, but how are you gonna see a pill going into her drink from outside on the sidewalk? I love that she takes it in stride. She's like, okay, fine, you can keep an eye on us, but you have to stay outside. Like, she's not trying to get away with being sneaky. She just really wants to meet Stu Wolf. I don't know why she can't just tell the truth to Ella, who's over there having a panic attack thinking they're being stalked by some guy. But, you know, Lola's already built up this fantasy about her dad being dead. I wish they could have reinforced it in a few more moments of Lola saying something that causes Ella to be like, oh, but your dad doesn't live anymore, right? So then that wouldn't make sense. And she's like, oh yeah, I just meant before. Like if she caught herself in her lie a few more times, then I would feel the pressure slowly mounting of her trying to sustain this lie. Maybe a few less of these meandering scenes where it's like, we're gonna go to the train now. We're gonna spend 20 minutes on the train. We're gonna talk to your parents about nothing now. Like, oh my goodness, just keep it moving, sis. Oh, also at one point the girls got caught in the rain, so they're all wet now. And they can't get into Stu's house because they're not on the guest list. But then miraculously, Stu comes stumbling out drunk and they follow him because he's finally alone. So it's kind of like the most perfect, convenient coincidence ever. She found his house because she saw a picture of the doorway in a magazine and she knew it was in Soho. There's a lot going on. So they follow Stu down this hallway where there's like the prettiest trash bags I've ever seen. A nice touch from the set decoration people or the art designers here. Just adds a little bit of color rather than like this big black mass of trash bags. It feels a lot more in with the tone of this movie and their presentation of New York City, which is like a candy-colored safe zone. Anyway, they rescue Stu from the gutter because he's super drunk and his band hates him. They're the whole reason that they're breaking up.
I don't even know who I am.
You could just give him coffee. He's not really up to a meal right now.
I want a deluxe hamburger platter.
You two better keep him in line. The boss won't stand for any nonsense.
I don't work here, lady. That's your boss, not mine. Go back to your coffee cave under the bridge and bring us back some coffee. Like, why are we giving lines to every other person in this movie? We've got to get this wrapped up. Anyway, he throws a donut and it hits the cop's head, so they get brought to the police station for that. And I'm just like, wasn't the dad waiting outside the party? And they never even went into the party. Shouldn't he have seen them go down that alleyway? Why are they at the police station now unsupervised? Any of those moments would have been the perfect time for the dad to stand in if he was trying to protect them. So when they're giving their addresses to the police, obviously Lola has to come clean and be like, oh, here's my dad's apartment. And so Ella's like, what? Your dad's not smashed against a pizza truck?
You told me your father died in a motorcycle accident.
So I exaggerated a little.
I bet you at her old school in New York, Lola had faked her own death just because she wanted a full-page yearbook memorial. Anyway, finally the dad comes back with his dog and they tell the whole story to the police for some reason. Like, I get that this movie was fun, but sometimes it's not so fun.
And then we tried to crash his party rather than have our dreams forever denied, and when he stormed out of his Soho loft, we followed him to make sure he didn't come into any harm.
I'm having memory flashes. I believe they help me.
Yeah, we just saw it all happen. We don't need an episode of Night Court about it. Like right here, I can really feel that this is a young adult novel. I can practically see the page numbers in the upper right-hand corner, because at this point, we realize that, oh, Stu is a big fan of the dad's dog. Like, what a small world. None of this has ever been mentioned before, so that's why I feel like it would be brought up a lot more easily in a book, where it's like they can plant details about this earlier on.
He looks like the dog in the dog years.
He is the dog in the dog years.
The dog years. He's the dog in the dog years. My niece loves those books. You're famous. And Callum Stepp, right?
Right.
So not only is Lola's dad alive, but now he's openly flirting with her favorite rock star in a police station. Only in New York. City lights, warm hot dogs, looking out on the water and seeing the Statue of Liberty. So Stu and the dad start to get along because he's a fan of the music and the rock star is a fan of the books that we never knew that the dad wrote based on the big dog. Like this really took me a minute to get my bearings. Like I love movies that don't force feed you things and aren't like handing you every little detail. So it did work for me that like I quickly realized, oh, the dad writes a book. But it did leave me wondering, like, did they mention that at some point earlier in the movie? Turns out no. So I would have loved if like even the mom had just been like, oh, your dad can't do this because he's doing a book signing, or he's got his publisher's waiting for blah, 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 or he's doing a photo shoot with that dog, anything. Just so that later I would be able to connect the dot and be like, oh, this is what she meant by that. Otherwise, I'm just like, that must have just been something in the book. Movies based on books love to do that, where it's like, they add details that I literally wouldn't understand unless I read the book. I'm not gonna read that book. I don't know how. So the girls finally get to Stu's party and they're up in the bedroom getting to dry off and get dry clothes. And Ella is really mad, but they finally have this making up scene.
You have to promise that you'll never lie to me.
I promise. I swear, Ella, I do.
Cut to 2 weeks from now when she's like, oh, I didn't tell you I'm the Princess of Monaco. Like, girl, just admit you're someone who lives in New Jersey now. There are still beautiful celebrities who live there, such as Bruce Springsteen or Joe Pesci. But the girls do make up and finally get to enjoy that they're at a rock star's party in New York.
We're not done yet, not going quietly into the night, not me and my friends.
It wouldn't be an early 2000s gal pal moment without a montage featuring a Super Chicks song where everyone's randomly looking into the camera for the first time in the movie, breaking the fourth wall. This is the same band that did One Girl Revolution, which was the song Cadet Kelly was ribbon dancing to. Both movies shared Gail Parent as a writer. I don't remember if I said that. So yeah, lots of cinematic connections here in this world. So now the girls are friends again and they're partying in Stu's party. And then when they get downstairs, they see Carla and her blonde friend at the party. Oh, I guess there is a person of color in this movie. It's the black friend who didn't get to come to this party. Anyway, Lola and Ella call over to Carla. They're like, Carla! And Carla looks pissed, definitely sees them. So they're like, we did it. We got what we needed to prove that we're the baddest. Sometimes I get a little confused about Lola's motives. Like, is she trying to get to this party because she has to meet Stu Wolf and talk about his art with him? Or is it just to prove to Carla that she is who she says she is when she was lying? It seems like it's a little of both, or it just kind of flip-flops depending on the situation. But anyway. What in the Wonder Pets is going on with this dog? Lola's dad was so worried about this party, but now he's in the hallucinogenics corner tripping out with his pup. This movie is wild, y'all. So Lola finally gets a chance to sit down with Stu, but he's already fully intoxicated. So she's realizing it's not so great to meet your heroes.
You look disappointed.
Well, I am. It's just too bad I'll never be able to discuss your poetry with you.
Why?
Because, Mr. Wolf, you're a drunk.
Lola, sweetie, if you think your compulsive lying won't translate to substance abuse later in life, then you really are living in a delusional fantasy land. That's one thing I'll also say about this movie is although although she like gets caught in her lies and that becomes like a moment of issue for her, she doesn't really learn necessarily in the movie that like, oh, it's better to be myself and not lie. Like that lesson is never fully realized. Because the next day at school or whatever, Carla is playing dumb.
Everybody already knows that you didn't go.
Don't pretend you didn't see us there. I know you did. Tell them, Ella.
I don't have anything to prove to these people, nor do you.
Ella, this is no time for your newfound personality.
That is my favorite line in this whole movie. Lola said, you saved that character development for sticking up to your parents. This is my movie. I also love Lola's top with built-in shower curtain rings. While trying to defend herself and prove that she was there, even though this story is hard to believe that Stu Wolf and her actually met, she accidentally exposes herself in another lie.
My dad was there too, and he and Stu are gonna get together sometime.
You don't have a dad. I mean, what do? Do you just make all this up as you go along? wrong. You're a liar. Your name isn't even Lola.
It's Blomp Blomp. We all saw your birth certificate, Blomp Blomp. I feel like we get a scene where she's called out by the mean girl twice, and we really only needed it once. We had that encounter in the classroom where she starts crying because Carla talks down to her, but then it's like all basically repeated again at rehearsal when Lola further tries to defend herself in front of more people. Couldn't this have been condensed into one scene? I'm just curious.
We have all had enough.
Have you? Have you finally had enough?
Last forever.
I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Now we're lost in space. Something plays. I can really relate to Lola's sadness here because this Simple Plan album was the one that helped me cope with the death of our family dog when I was 12. I loved the song that was like, an empty chair at all the tables. Like, okay, Nicholas, your dog never sat in a chair. I think this whole tension here could have been doubled up. Like, instead of Carla calling them out twice, I think Carla needed to call Lola out for lying in front of the whole cast, and then something she said to the guy who she has a crush on was like, so if you were lying about that, does that mean what we were doing is fake? And he walks away and kind of has like a moment of disagreement. I think that would help me be like, oh, her lies are really catching up to her, and give her an opportunity to be like, what have I done by fibbing? But instead, she just kind of runs away from being embarrassed and doesn't want to be in the play. So Ella has to come into the bedroom and like convince her. So this is where I feel like they could have reworked the story a little bit to feel like the stakes are higher. I know I say it all the time, but it's true. If your stakes aren't high, then you've got low chicken. So here's Ella having her moment.
What about me? I was miserable until you came to Delwood. You gave me courage, Lola. Because of you, I'm brave enough to be different.
Because of you, I can finally wear funky hats. And I'm gonna get those curly shoelaces now. Because of you. So you have to do the school play. That's her. Do my eyes look wet? That's acting. I used water from this bottle. I don't get why Ella's crying here. It's like, cause you want her to be in the school play that badly? I feel like it should be like, Lola's like, I'm leaving the school, I'm gonna homeschool, I'm gonna go back to New York, I'm gonna go live with my dad, like something like this. Like she's gonna run away. Again, like I don't know why her convincing her to be in the school play is like that super crucial. I get that it's important, but like if Lola doesn't wanna do it, then I don't see why she should be convinced. Anyway, just rework that story a little bit. Anyway, Lola gets back to the school play in time to stop Carla from taking her role.
Get out of my dress.
No!
Get out of my dress.
No!
Get out of that dress!
Ooh, I didn't know chemical weapons were allowed. Does our science lab have hydrochloric acid? Because someone's getting a free peel tonight. It's finally time for the school play to begin, and we can already tell it's gonna be an updated version of Pygmalion.
Press your bars, children.
iBooks were generously provided by the Rockin' Apple Store. This movie is basically just Steve Jobs selling us electronics before we even knew we needed them. This is pre-iPhone mama. Right off the bat, we get some fun musical numbers like I've been waiting for 90 minutes.
Her parents give her love and affection. You keep her strong, moving in the right direction.
No auto-tune detected here. You see, Lindsay Lohan's great-grandfather was a Dell PC. That's why some of her vocals sound naturally Mr. Roboto. I thought we said contemporary music. Whose dad picked out this playlist? Mama, this is season 1 of Glee material when they kept doing those Journey songs. Like, no, I'm gay. I don't want to hear it. The best number is definitely one of the only original songs in the movie. I remember it from the commercial, so I was like, okay, I would watch for that scene alone. And it turns out it's at the very end.
That girl was a one-time teenage drama queen. A hot tub every day, wanna be.
Seeing all those troll backup dancers just convinced me to buy a guard dog. What are these munchkins from The Wiz doing all around her in the school play? I don't get what they're doing here for this show. That girl was a one-time teenage drama queen, singing every song and eating lots of ice cream, and I'm dancing loud. No one knows the words of this song anyhow. You would think that's the end of the movie, but no, there's more endings. I hate movies that feel like they should be over a scene earlier. Why was the blonde friend so into watching her spoon out that ketchup? She just blindly supports whatever the boss lady does. Yeah, slather that dog, Carla. Get that wiener dressed. Carla answers the door and guess who it is? Stu Wolf.
You're here in my house because of Lola?
I think that kid in the background wanted to get enough material for his acting reel in one reaction. Quite the detailed facial narrative you brought us along for. Now, would you mind taking one big step back for Megan Fox? Thank you. It was really rude of Stu to show up at someone else's party to surprise Lola. Like, you know that's gonna steal the spotlight. So Carla's like, look who came to see me, even though it's clearly not true. And he gives her back that bottle cap necklace that she was wearing the whole time, which is also Coca-Cola product placement. Minute Maid is a Coca-Cola brand. There was also Coca-Cola machines all over the place. You know how it is.
You left this at my place.
Seriously, this kid sticks out like a sore thumb. Does he really need to be front and center? Like, did he win a walk-on contest, or did they just throw a costume on the pale colonial ghost boy who they couldn't get to stop haunting the set? When she's all pissed, Megan Fox falls into the fountain, but being the nice girl that she is, Lola helps her out and they have a sweet smile, so you know that they're gonna be okay in the future somehow.
So how have you been?
Sober. I'm in recovery. Again. Someone very sweet told me I was a drunk, and I didn't like it.
Sounds kind of harsh.
But it woke me up.
To the damage of using a hair straightener every day, good for you. Is this movie over yet?
Here's what I learned. When you're happy, the whole world's New York.
And when you're sad, it's Guantanamo Bay, so take your medication as prescribed. What do you guys think of Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen? I could have done with a fewer amount of confessions. They could have confessed less to me. But that being said, it did have its charming moments. I loved the costumes, I loved the cast, and I loved the fashion. There were some moments there that I thought were funny, but overall, no, mama, too long. And I'm sorry, because I know this is probably a favorite movie for a lot of you out there. So tell me if you think it's still one of your favorites after rewatching it with me, or let me know what videos I should cover next in my next clip breakdown. But most importantly, give this video a big thumbs up, and if you're new here, I would love to have you click that subscribe button right down here. Again, I'm really trying to hit 200,000 subscribers, so it would mean so much to me. Turn on notifications. Also, I've got merch available and a Patreon where you can get exclusive content and bonuses from me. You guys are all the greatest. Thank you so much for being a one-time teenage drama queen with me. I will see you next time.